The winter can be a tough time for us triathletes. The weather seems against us, the race season seems so far away, and our motivation may be dwindling. But one athlete that seems to charge through the winter unfazed is pro triathlete Joe Skipper. So we went to catch up with Joe to get some of his winter triathlon training tips. Okay, Joe, first winter training tip for us.
Get outside and do some training. You don't have to do it all outside, but like you can't shy away from the rain. I know a lot of people that like they get the slightest sniff of rain and that's it. They're straight on the trainer, and they'll do that the whole winter. And they don't get out on the road. And then you go out riding with them in springtime, and they're all over the place, crashing into hedges, nearly getting hit by cars, and they never race to their potential.
I guess like with the insurgence of Zwift and indoor riding, I can understand why people have fallen into that trap, and it is fantastic, right? But like
it is good, yeah.
Finding that balance.
And it has definitely made me softer because I look outside and I see grey skies and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if it's a day for riding today. But I think you've got to do some riding outside in the winter and not just completely refine yourself to like staying in and doing like 4 or 5 sessions a week every week inside. Get outside, and there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing, they say.
Yeah, to a degree, I think. But would you say that's quite essential then, making sure like maybe you invest in a good rain jacket, some
good quality kit, find some people, and don't be worried about stopping at the cafe. I think that's what makes winter riding good. Like on our long rides, we'll always have a cafe stop, especially in the middle of winter, and it breaks it up, and it's a great social. Like, because otherwise I think you miss out on so much. Like if you're just riding inside, normally you're going to be by yourself, you're going to be doing it all like alone, whereas it's nice to meet up with your friends, have a social and stop at a cafe. And it's never as bad, you never regret it once you've done it. You're always like pleased that you've got out.
All right, next tip then.
So next tip is don't do nothing over winter and then expect to scrap a turbo on in January, ready for your races in the new year.
I hear this one a lot actually, people sort of saying, or maybe they've got a coach and they say, can we put our coaching on hold until the new year and then crack on for my training through to June for the Ironman? It's quite important all year round.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like you don't have to do loads of training during like now and like the new year, but you got to do something like keep it consistent and have a goal. That's probably why people don't do it, because they don't have a goal and they think it's too long ahead until they've got their next race or whatever.
I always used to look at kind of the off season or the winter almost like the foundations. Like you can't go straight in on the sharp, pointy and fast stuff without having those foundations there, which makes the winter so valuable.
Yeah, and you don't want to get to the same level where you were the previous year. Like the aim should always be to get a little bit quicker, and if you don't do anything for 3 months or 4 months, then you can't really expect to take your performances up a level the following year. Okay, super point there. Right, now for the third tip. So the third tip, I think, have a race, have a target to aim for, and I don't think it necessarily has to be some, like if you're an Ironman athlete, you don't really have to train for like a marathon or half marathon. You could do something a bit different, like for instance train for like a 5k or a 10k, so you work on your speed, but it just gives you like, which will help you come the next year, but it's just something a bit different and it will help motivate you for your hard training sessions.
So you mean you're like planning in during December, January, February, just like little races, whether that's like cross-country races,
exactly,
like
yeah,
cross-bike race, just
yeah,
something
definitely, yeah. I think cross-country races are awesome if you've got them. Like, hopefully they'll go on this winter. But like, if they're not, like, even if you did your own time trial or something like that, have something where you take a race serious and you just see what you can do, and it will also give you some focus for your training. Otherwise, like you get to like November time and say your next race isn't until May, it's really hard to think to yourself, oh, I need to get this hard session in because I'm racing in May. But if you think, oh, I'm going to have a PB attempt in January or do a race in January, it's a lot easier to focus on that.
Yeah, it's like having that light at the end of the tunnel to look forward to. I always used to plan in sort of off-road races, stuff that where I wouldn't necessarily have to worry about a time, so I'm not kind of like judging myself on my fitness or my performance at the time, but you're getting a really good hard workout and fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like spot on. That's what you want to do, I reckon.
Okay, that was a good one. What's up next for our winter tips?
Make yourself bulletproof. So get in the gym, keep on the conditioning, and make yourself like less injury prone, stronger and more durable.
Get that beach bod going.
Get the beach bod going.
I guess it's a bit like that that foundations we were just talking about, but it's also like, you know, making yourself robust and injury proof.
Yeah, exactly. So do some weights, work on your core strength and your balance. I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of runners, like, especially from my experience anyway, when I've seen them in the gym, the ones that are like quite injury prone, when they do like one-legged stuff or they have to like work on balance, they're like always wobbling. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on your like smaller muscle groups, and that they always seem like they get more injuries like that. So, and running, effectively you're on one foot a lot of the time, aren't you? And so powering off.
So it's not necessarily all, like, I know we joke about throwing the weights around, but it's not just about that. It's like some of the finer, smaller movements to get that control.
Finer movements as well, but then I would also say don't neglect the big weights as well. Like, because I think a lot of triathletes and endurance people are always worried about doing big weights because they think they're going to get too big and muscly. But I don't think you will, as long because you're doing so much cardio as well. But I mean, make sure you have someone to watch you and stuff so you don't get injured when you do it, because technique's like crucial if you're doing that.
Yeah, and then in terms of kind of how many sessions you do, so if you do conditioning work already, would you suggest perhaps increasing a little bit over the winter?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say like 2 would be ideal. But if you're not doing any at the moment, even if you just get in for 1, then it would be a game changer. And I think like if you're struggling for time, swapping like an easy run or an easy ride for a strength and conditioning session would be well worth it, and you'd gain a lot from that.
A final tip now, Joe.
Yeah. Don't be like me and work on your weakness. So for me, the swim, so I'm not catching up. So make sure you work on your weaknesses during the winter so you can, do a better performance. And I think it's a good time to, like, if you're not training as much as what you were in the season, you could pick 2 sports that you can focus on a bit more and have one sport, maybe your strongest one, a bit on the back burner. So like for me as an instance, like doing more swimming, working on my technique and being a bit fresher for the swim session so I can get more out of it. So hopefully I improve and then give myself less to do in the race season. But I mean, that's what I think other people can do.
So could you essentially like working like, okay, this is going to be a real focused swim block, keep the bike and the running kind of ticking along, and then after 4 weeks go right now on the bike block? Could you do it like that?
Yeah, I think you could do it like that. Yeah, definitely. It's all. I think triathlon's so hard to train for with the free sports, so it's always like a bit of like, a bit of a juggling act and just essentially like winging it a bit. Well,
and so when you say focus on, does that also mean like technique as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like to work on your technique. Ideally get a coach, someone to look at. Like I've worked a few times with Swim Smooth, and they've like looked at my technique and helped me make some gains from that. I don't know if people have got a good swim squad or whatever, or run squad where they are, like maybe try and get in touch with them and do some sessions with them. It'll be something a bit different, but they might be able to help you with your technique as well. So trying that, and yeah, just by focusing more on one sport, it should help you be a bit fresher for that, so you've got more energy and you can train a bit better.
And also, I guess you can just get someone to film you and then check back that footage, and you can even send it in to us on GTN. We've occasionally featured people's videos and technique and given feedback on them.
I might take you up on that then.
That's brilliant. So thanks so much for that today, Joe. One final bit as well, because I know you're coming back after a break. How important is that at the end of a season?
Oh, massively. So before I took the break, for me personally, I was looking at racing Daytona, but I felt really fatigued, and I thought, well, I've got like 2 options. I can like try and carry on training for Daytona, which could go well, probably unlikely, probably have a terrible race because I'm like not feeling that great in training, or take some time off and just look for next year. So decided to take 3 weeks off, really cut down the training. Like if I didn't feel like doing anything, I didn't do it. And if I wanted to do some sport, I limited myself to 1 session a day, so I did give myself time to recover. And I feel really refreshed now, raring to go, motivation's back, and like really looking forward to getting a decent block in over the winter.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's probably a surprise to some people that like pretty much every pro athlete out there will take a break at the end of the season, because it's an opportunity not only for your body to recover physically, but also mentally, because it's a long old season. If you just keep doing that year in, year out, it can catch up with you.
Put your feet up, have a beer, and don't be too hard on yourself.
Or wine if you like wine.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If so, please do give it a like. Thanks ever so much for joining us today, Joe. If you haven't done so already, give us a little subscribe down below and give us a follow over on our social media channels.